Right, there we are. Apologies, I was having some trouble with the overlay. But I am here now. And welcome to this Imola, a track which only a couple of hours ago was hosting Formula 1. Now playing host to the simulated RP Series Season 12 race, Round 3 of our current championship, at least point scoring Round 3. There was a pre-season race at Spa, but this is the third point scoring race of the season. And I am your commentator for tonight, James Andrews, replacing Husky, our regular commentator, as he, I believe, is off doing some marshalling somewhere in the world of real racing. But I will ask you to simply bear with me a little bit, as I'm now, as Husky was the first time he did this, working out some of the LMU race control overlay whatnots. But did some testing earlier, and hopefully we can get going, as we are currently watching Mr. Jamie Booth, the number 777, that sounds weird to say, 777 Aston Martin. Unfortunately not personal number, as LMU sadly has not allowed anyone to do personal numbers as of yet. Hopefully they will in future, but as we start this qualifying session, currently 19 drivers in the server. Maybe we'll pick up one or two more before the end of the session. There are a few people away with illnesses, sadly. A few others who can't make it for a variety of reasons. But for now, we see Jamie Booth on his out lap, who is on an actual lap. Martin Kovac then has started an actual lap. Let's have a look and go. Let's start, because Hypercar usually gets all of the acclaim. Let's start with some GT3 qualifying. Have a look at Kovac's lap here now. There we go. Have a look. Oh, the onboard's terrible. Let's go to the outboard. And you see he puts a purple sector in. Not surprising, considering it was the first sector set. It's lost its purple on my little control panel, although that's only because I think one of the Hypercars has set a faster one, which I think is to be expected. But as he comes through Aqua Minerale now, in the long, or not really long, but a little short run up to the Variante Alta chicane. I'll tell you what, after this we'll have a look at a Hypercar and see if we can see a little bit of the track. And unfortunately I didn't miss practice, where I do like to do that, even though it's only 5 minutes anyway, due to some weird stuff happening with the LMU servers. But now around the final 2 corners, the Ravazza 1, Ravazza 2. Need a good exit here for the long stretch that comes down. It's got some turns, but it's practically a straight. And Kovac's first lap is going to be, once he crosses the line, it comes up quite late. There it is. A 1:44.242, putting him currently in the lead of class. But the only other car that's done a lap thus far is Tommy Teasdale in the number 92 Porsche with a 1:47.2. Let's have a look there. This is Mike Bell in the... Actually, I'm going to give you the onboard HUD as well. Let's take the session tower away. That's the one. Have a look on board. So he just came out of the sharp left-hander of Tosa, now down to Piratella. Flowing left, but you don't want to run wide, as the gravel on exit will swallow you up and turn you into that wall. Or if you're like Pierre Gasly earlier, maybe just a little bit of bumping. Now through Aqua Minerale, hard downshift section. Again, gravel now on the outside, used to be asphalt. Need to get that car turn around, not run too wide there. To the difficult chicane of Outer, but in some cars you yeet these orange sausages. Again, a good focus on the exit as you get the run down to the Ravazzas. Slight right braking, perhaps even on the curb if you can. Now cut a little bit as it locks up, does Mike Bell into that corner, but you can cut a little bit of those inside curbs. And again, want to maximize this run down to the start-finish line. I'll tell you what, while we're here, we'll cover the little bit of the track that we missed. So, come up to Variante, I think it's Tamburello, that's its name. Variante Tamburello, the first chicane, followed by this quick left-hander, I don't think actually has a name. And then up to Variante Villeneuve, named after one of the two Villeneuves. I'm not actually sure which one, I'm assuming Jill. And you come through, and then once again to this sharp left-hander of Tosa, which again, much like a lot of this circuit, you want to focus on that exit and carrying speed up this straight. Piratella, perhaps not one of the places where many moves are going to be made, but certainly a place you don't want to lose out into on the inside line. Let's go back to the tower and have a look at the Hypercar and see what everyone else is doing. So your leader currently in class in the Hypercar, class 11 Hypercars, almost a full grid of Hypercars. It seems we're missing more of the GT3s today, which is a shame. One of them is myself. I have been driving GT3 this season. Unfortunately, I've filled in, as I say, for Husky today. A few other people, including I believe one Thomas Jack, who is nursing an apparent hangover. Pavel Stena has won currently in Hypercar class every race this season, which is only 2 point scoring races, to be fair, because he didn't actually win the Spa race, but that was a pre-season, so it doesn't count towards a championship. The pre-season race was won by the current P2 sitter, Pierre Moreno, in the Porsche. The Porsche Hypercar, the number 6. Actually, he used to drive the white and green. I can't remember. I think it's I can't remember who runs that car now. I feel right silly for that. But now running the default, lovely looking Porsche livery. He won the Spa pre-season race against Steiner, but has yet to win. And last race at Monza, I have to remember where it was then. Last race out at Monza, unfortunately, only could finish, I think, P4 or P5 in the order due to some issues in the pit stops at what was a rather wet race there. Further down then, right behind him, is Tobias Gesh, who, once the camera finds him, is one of our Cadillacs. And then currently running is Schmeitat, and then you see the first of the rather popular looking Peugeots. Some of these are the winged Peugeot, which came in as of last year, once they decided their no-wing concept was no longer going to butter their parsnips. However, Jarmeek Smith driving the winged Peugeot. And then we have Senna Dericki, I believe is his name. I might be pronouncing it incorrectly, in which case I apologize. Who is the second Ferrari and currently the last of the two on the track. Dale Hewson, let's have a quick look here. Driving a winged Peugeot. Flores driving, I think that's also a winged Peugeot. Gadek in the Porsche, I thought it was the Peugeot, but no, he has put in a better lap and put himself up to 9th place for this race. Mike Bell, like I say, driving the D-winged Peugeot, and he said Peugeot, that's like a mix of Porsche and Peugeot. The D-winged Peugeot, I said it again, Peugeot. See how he gets on with that. We know one thing about this Peugeot in LMU is it has a better delivery system than its counterpart, due to the fact that it is a Peugeot from different year of regulations, and apparently there was a different deployment setting applied to it. I can't remember if it's actually to do with the regulations or to do with the way the car was made with the no-wing concept. But currently not working particularly well for him as he sits in P10, although this is his first race since the pre-season, where I believe he drove the Isotta Francini and has since been allowed to change. But Mike Bell coming over as quali is almost over, 30 seconds to go. Anyone on track will do their final laps now. Anyone in the pits will have finished the qualifying session for the time being. Let's have a look in Hypercar class. Just to clarify, Thomas Schmeitat has taken P2 from Pierre Moreno, putting on a fight, but it's still a 6/10 gap to staying up ahead. Let's have a quick look then down to GT3. Once the timing tower updates, Martin Kovac, who you see here in the Corvette, currently leading that particular class, followed shortly by Robin Merling. I say shortly, again it's another 6/10, but he is in the pit lane. Tommy Teasdale then in P3 in the Porsche 992. Followed by Mark McNaughton. There are two McNaughtons on the board. Just remember, they're both driving McLarens. The 59 is Mark McNaughton and the 70 is Adrian McNaughton. I believe they are brothers, but I might be wrong. Don't want to make assumptions upon that, but I believe that is the case. Then in the 777, which I mentioned already, is Jamie Booth. Currently sitting in P5, followed closely by David Epitashvili, who is in the pit lane, as then is the current 8th place and last in class for the time being, Fail Games, and presumably for the race, or for the, at least the start of the race, as there is not really enough time. Well, he's in the pits, he can't come out again. No one can go slower than him after they've already gone faster. Thomas Teasdale's actually stopped in his box, done a quick pit entry check there then, as that is Jamie Booth having crossed the line, gone P3, taken Teasdale's place from him, 1.515 off of the lead in class. And I think Tobias Gesh and Adam Gaddick are still on track, but I think Gesh is looking like he's going slowly here, and Adam Gaddick doing the same. Yeah, these two are definitely not on any particularly quick laps. Mark McNaughton, meanwhile, returns to the pit lane following his qualifying session, taking P5 in class. Right, I think, therefore, we will shortly... Okay, there we are. Tom Tweedle has just joined us. A little bit late, but better late than never. Hypercar class he is, I believe. Let me check the timing tower. There he is. In another, he is the Peugeot who was already here. Tom Tweedy. I thought it said Tweedle on my timing. I've got it so small that I can't see the I, the dot on the I. But it's Tom Tweedy. Apologies for that. Hopefully, we won't have too many people joining and causing any freezes, but...
Teams and drivers go to the grid for a race start.
Oh, Eduardo Freitas. How much I would love you to narrate my life. So, as Freitas himself gives us the command to go to the grid for the race start, Tweedy, due to his rejoin, and I don't believe he got a qualifying lap in before that, is going to start from the back of the grid. He's going to have to make his way through. He's quite lucky there are fewer GT3s than there have been in other races today. He is going to have to still make his way through them to get into the fight in his own class. Let's have a look then. This is the fun part at the starting grid. As it comes up on the screen, Pavel Sturner takes pole position, followed by the Ferrari of Thomas Schmeitat. It's Toyota and Ferrari 1-2, followed by the Cadillac of Tobias Gesh, and then Pierre Moreno once again P4, where he will start on the outside row. Senna Drake, I can't remember, sorry, and Jarmeek then row 3. Row 4, that's Dale Hughes in the Peugeot in 7th, and another Porsche in 8th of Adam Gaddick. Jose Flores then P9, and Mike Bell P10, 2 Peugeots to round out the top of the LMH grid. Martin Kovac and Ron Merlin take row 1 of GT3, which is going to be a perfect row 1 due to the spacing. Jamie Booth and Tommy Teasdale close behind, followed by Mark McNaughton in 15th and David Epitashvili in 16th, and then it's Adrian McNaughton and Fail Games. Adrian starting right behind Mark, and Fail Games behind David, and then Tom Tweedy, who will round out the grid and again have to get through to GT3 traffic if he wants to fight his own class. Steiner, Schmeitat and Gesh all now waiting to come out. Everyone else has actually gone to the grid. Schmeitat now goes to grid. Gesh and Steiner taking as much time as they need to start here. You can see the countdown there on your screen. I'll give you the tower for the moment. As you can see, Steiner, Schmeitert, Gesch, Moreno, and Derike are top 5. Hypercar, Kovac, Merling, Booth, Teasdale, McNaughton as the top 5 LMGT3. Now I can actually see if the energy remaining button does work. Yes, it does. So this is curious. Let's have a look at this in the Hypercar class. The energy remaining may not be accurate. It might update, but that should give you an idea of what sort of figures they are running at this race start as Freitas starts the formation lap. It's a short lap. Take away the tower for the moment. We'll have a look. Everyone's got to be careful. LMU rolling starts can be finicky, to say the least. It's going to be a short formation lap. Unfortunately, LMU doesn't allow you to do a longer one. Round Ravazza 2 comes the number 7 of Pavel Steiner. And we are going to go racing for 1 hour of Imola. Let's hope we get some good action. Well, I'm sure some of the drivers would rather not. Steiner then coming up now. Try and keep an eye on what's going on in the back of the grid, but for now, it is gonna be green flag. That's a good launch there from Steiner, and Tweedle behind, making his way through quite well. That is one of the Cadillac of Tobias Gesch, I believe, putting himself up a little bit, getting caught out by Jarmeek Smith. Let's put the tower on. See, there's a freeway battle back there. Where is this? This is Dale Hughes, I believe, leading this grid away. Is it Hughes? No, it must be Mike Bell. That's the Peugeot of Tom Tweedy already all the way up. Fighting now with the Peugeots at the back, and that's Tobias Gesch, I believe, has been, which I'm not sure, because it's not updating with Tom Tweedy back there. Tobias Gesch, however, has been left in the dust way down the order. And he's going to have to climb back through some of the GT3 traffic as Robin Merling and Martin Kovac are now getting lapped by Tom Tweedy, getting passed by Tom Tweedy for the first time. And they're going to be hoping, Kovac is going to be hoping that Tweedy has put some distance between himself and Robin Moe, but not going to hold him up, which he doesn't, as he comes down now to Ravazza 1. Pavel Steiner then has put a 1.3 second gap between himself and Pierre Moreno, and then Schmeitert and Jarmeek quite close together. Senna Derike then is a little bit further back, and Jose Flores 2 seconds behind him. That fight between the Peugeots at the back of the grid has been absolutely catastrophic for their gap to the lead. And meanwhile, this is Mike Bell and Dale Hughes side by side. Leave as they come now. That is going to be Mike Bell well ahead, and Hughes might lose another place in the process. So now round Tosa, that has put Gadek ahead of Hughes, and you see now Tweedy and Gesch in the background looking to make some moves of their own. Gaps are starting to peter. We shall have a look. Robin Merling, meanwhile, let's have a look at our GT3 class off the start. Kovac has managed to stay in P1 and has dropped Robin Moe by about 1.5 seconds. I think Robin in the Ferrari with clean air, whereas the Hypercars have yet a little bit of time. Imola's quite a short track, and it doesn't take too long, in my experience, for the Hypercars to get up behind you and take a look at interfering. He's got a little bit of time now to try and make some gains on Kovac for what he hopes will be his first win of the season and Kovac's first non-win of the season, including the preseason race that he has as of yet dominated. Meanwhile, Mark McNaughton is very close on the rear of Tommy Teasdale. 0.7 is the gap. Tommy Teasdale himself on the rear of Jamie Booth. But let's have a look quickly. Thomas Schmeitat under attack, and I think just overtaken by Jarmeek Smith, who we saw was P4, having gone around Gesh when Gesh was still near the top of the grid. Gesh now sitting P11 in LMH, and Schmeitat's going to get taken by Senna at the same time. Very potentially, it's the yellow versus the red Ferrari Hypercar. And let's hope that this yellow Hypercar has a little bit of luck for his own sake than the same car at Spa 1 week ago in the real World Endurance Championship. But Schmeitat managing to hold on nicely now. Let's have a look at the battle. Wish it would show us the gap, unfortunately it doesn't. Let's have a look from the onboard HUD. Take Cal away for it. They rip down the start, finish straight up towards Tamburello. It's not got the pace. I mean, it's the same car, but they've both got the slipstream. I don't know what they're doing with any deployment modes. Unfortunately, I'm not particularly a Hypercar driver at the moment, but as I understand it, deployment is more to do with fuel than it is to do with power, so it's purely a race of the slipstream at the moment and the braking into these corners such as Tosa. Oh, as there's a little step out on the rear of Schmeitat there. Is that going to allow Ricky to get ahead? We shall have to see. He is incredibly close to the rear end of that Ferrari. So he comes for Minerale, however, he loses a little bit, brakes a little bit earlier, I think, as that's Schmeitat off. Little clip in the gravel, gets away with it, but that is going to be Ricky up to P4. And Schmeitat with his work to do now. He's going to have to try and bring something back to see what he can do. However, he looks to be dropping off a little bit. 0.5 seconds to gap now to Ricky ahead. Meanwhile, Tommy Teasdale again right on the back here of the car, the 777 of Jamie Booth. 0.4 seconds, there's 0.4 seconds behind to Mark McNaughton. A battle, three-way battle here for P3, the last of the podium classes in GT3. And Tommy Teasdale, it's 3 different cars, 3 different drivers, of course, but only 1 position they're all hoping to gain. Well, probably more than 1 position they're hoping to gain, as that was Mark McNaughton dipping a toe into the gravel. Once again, I believe that's new gravel, which was added last year for some of the races in Formula 1 and has stuck around, as gravel is pretty hard to shift once there. And that's Jamie Booth doing exactly the same thing, and that's going to give Teasdale a good run. However, he needs to time this well. That's a defense to the inside early for Jamie Booth, and he's going to squeeze around the corner. They come now up to Tamburello. We go better camera view, and that's going to be Teasdale just ahead, and he's going to stick it. And Jamie Booth has been firmly taken care of, but has he? Can he take it back? Nope, he will not get the slipstream enough to make a go of it into Villeneuve. He's going to have to try and hold off, bide his time, and hopefully for him, make another attack rather than come under attack from Mark McNaughton behind. This is the position that is so difficult to be in, where you don't have the luxury of taking a breather and trying to recuperate yourself for another attack, because as he dips a toe just before Piratella, you don't have the luxury of taking your time recuperating and gathering your thoughts, because if you do that, Mark McNaughton will be upon him. But Tommy Teasdale has made yet another mistake. This has been all three of them now into the gravel at one point, but they're going to be side by side. This camera shot looking very much like that opening scene from Rush, or the last scene from Rush. But Teasdale managed to stick it out with Mark McNaughton now right on the side quarter panel. Oh, as they squeeze a little bit, but enough racing room is left. It's going to be now down to Ravazza, but McNaughton backs out early. Possibly does not have the swing on that outside line, so took the inside. And once again, they are back in this same order, but McNaughton now looking like he has good positioning. Oh, I think there might have been a little bit of contact there as a run now down into Tamburello, and that is later on the brakes for Jamie Booth, and it pays off. Fantastic defence there from the Aston Martin. This has been an absolutely riveting little battle we've got going on. Let's have a look at the mixed intervals so we can have a better look at our overall grid order. Derica, you can see, still holding on to the back of Smith up in Hypercar. Jamie Booth, therefore, has now cleared a little bit. 0.8 seconds is the gap. Right. Whilst we have a little breather, let's have a quick look at the Hypercar battle here. A little breather we have for a moment, as that is David Esvishvili onto the grass, and he's lost. I don't know what's happened to him. Unfortunately, LMU does not have the same replay functionality as ACC, but that is, I'm going to take away this because it's getting covered up. That is David Epitishvili, and he has lost out some places and now sits P6 in class, just ahead of Fail Games and Adrian McNaughton. He's one lap down according to this timing tower, which, to be fair, I've just realised because the Hypercars are lapping, but he has definitely lost some places. Now, as you see, Pavel Scherner get past one of the McLarens. That is either Mark McNaughton. I think it's Mark McNaughton because Fail Games is also in the 59 McLaren, but Jamie Booth has just been passed, and now it'll be Tommy Teasdale's turn to get lapped for the first time. So whilst we are having this moment, 49 minutes left to go in the race, let's have a quick conversation about what exactly this race regulation is. I don't know if that's grammatically correct, but I'm going to go with it. So, for this race, as with all the races thus far this season, drivers have unlimited tyre sets and very little in the way of rules. The one main rule we do have at the moment is a ×2 multiplier on the fuel usage. So, if a car, for example, does 5 litres a lap, it's now doing 10. In a one hour race, I do 1 lap. That's how it works. In a 1 hour race, it's been Thomas Schmeitat. Something I've only just noticed that Jarmeek Smith is in the pit lane. I was hoping to talk about this a bit more. I mean, he can do this because it will work out, but it'll be interesting to see. He has taken an early stop, possibly to try and avoid some traffic and get clean air running, although I'm not sure. He's only 30 seconds up the road from the next LMH even. I mean, some of these cars are LMDHs, but these are mostly LMHs. But I do not know where the positioning is of the cars in between himself and others, but he has pitted early, and that's what I was getting at. There is a ×2 fuel usage. Now, on a 1 hour race with 1 normal fuel usage times multiplier, these hypercars should have to pit once. Because of the ×2, they will have to pit twice, and Jarmeek has taken his first stop very early, much earlier than I thought he would, or thought anyone would at this point of the race, given that that will mean that his second stop will probably have to be quite long in terms of filling up the car, although obviously this one would have been a little bit shorter depending on how he filled up at the start of the race. So that is our main rule. You see Schmeitat get past the Ferrari of Robin Merling there. That is Merling, who is 7 seconds now behind Kovac. He has not had the best luck by the looks of it with the lapping traffic. Dale Hughes, meanwhile, is right on the rear of Adam Gadek. So let's have a little look at this battle for the moment. So what I was simply saying was that most of these cars will have to take... Oh, is that someone off, but I'm not sure who. That is something off in that gravel, and I am not sure who that is. I'm looking on the timing tower to see if anyone is dropping like a fly, but I don't see anyone, so I think they've gotten away with it relatively well. You can see here where the traffic at Imola can be horrendous. I think a lot of these guys will be quite glad to not have too many GT3s to have to get through, as Dale continues to put the fight on the rear of this car. As you'll see, Gadek and Hughes. We'll see if anyone's to pit. Tom Tweedy, that must have been Tom Tweedy, I think, who must have ended up in the gravel, has DNF, the first DNF of this race. Hopefully there aren't any others, but he's now dropped behind Martin Kovac, who will soon drop behind Robin Merling, and will finish this race in the last. Alright, Gadek and Hughes there in the gap. 0.18 seconds. A little bit less, a little bit more. Let's see. Oh, that's a really good Aqua Minerale from the Peugeot. A little bit loose on exit, but still sticking with the Porsche. If they'd got any closer to each other, I think they would have made that Porsche I was talking about earlier. Now into Ravazza, but you can see Robin Merling right ahead. You're not going to get past him by the time they get through to Ravazzas. This might play into the Peugeot's hands. But I think they're going to be relatively okay. It's going to give, I think, a little bit of a run to the Peugeot compared to the Porsche, who had to back out tired. But this fight is still going on. The gap up the top of the Hypercar class, you can see Pierre Moreno P2 followed by the Ricky, and that has a 2.5 second gap to the lead, which again we will see as that's the Peugeot off. Dale Hughes into the gravel, and that's going to reset some of his progress that he had made against that Porsche. Yes, pit stops, like I said. Oh, that's caught him on the way round. Adam Gadek is into the Avis branding on the barriers. He's going to hold off. He's waiting for someone to pass, I think. But he's going to get going again. That, I think he lost it himself. Maybe caught the gravel. I didn't quite see it from the angle. Again, I would love to replay it, but... Oh, there's another spin there, and that's going to send him round. He's facing the right way, though. He needs to get those tyres under control. Maybe even take a stop into the pits. At this point, so 42 minutes, there is about, I think it takes about 20 odd minutes to need a pit stop in this. I mean, it's 20 minutes per this flash. It's more than 25 minutes, I think, for each car in this race to need a pit stop. A little bit longer for the G3s, a little bit less for the Hypercars. But he should probably come in now, take that time. Most cars won't change their tyres. It's not worth the time loss in this race for only an hour, but it would give his tyres a little chance to cool off. They've clearly gone a bit hot, and he comes in now to take his first stop. We'll see. He might also have some damage. I mean, presuming he has some damage, he may need to repair. Actually, let's have a quick look. Yes, he is holding his car steering. You can see offset. He has had some damage to that suspension, and he will now pit and take a little bit of a repair time. Hopefully not too long. So Senator Ricky then. Senator Ricky has been overtaken by Thomas Schmeitat while we were watching Gadek's concerns. And now the Ferrari up to P3 again. This Ferrari who had, until recently, been in P2 until Guillermo Moreno took it from him. Now we can see, so as I was saying, 41 minutes. So the pit stop should be expected around 25 odd minutes in, depending on the class and on the strategy. I mean, minor strategy differences can play a part. No tyre changes. I would love, personally, to be allowed to set mandatory tyre changes. So you see that back marker getting a little bit in the way of Senna. Not anything on the fault of the McLaren, just how this track and its multi-class racing ends up. But yes, also I would love absolutely to do, as Adam Gaddick actually coming out the pits now, I would love to force mandatory tyre changes. There's no option to do so at the moment within LMU, which doesn't just rely on good faith. It would make it much nicer to force some tyre strategy to come into play. At the very least, in terms of the undercut, works a lot better when you have to change tyres and the tyres are actually cold, rather than just when they're a little bit colder because they've been sitting around for a little while in the pit lane. But they will not need to take tyres, they will need to take fuel, and that's where the strategy comes in. So any time from now, well, any time from about 45 minutes to 50 minutes is good enough, and that's what we saw Tommy do earlier on, pitting earlier around the 50-minute mark, this Peugeot here. Mark McNaughton once again on the back of Jamie Booth. I mean, Jamie has been dropped by Tommy Tidale by about 4 seconds, but McNaughton now looking ahead towards Booth to take P4. But yes, the pit stops should be coming shortly, I think, for both classes. In the wet weather at Monza 2 weeks ago, these cars, GT3s at least, were able to make it about halfway through the race, about the 30-minute mark, with low fuel at the end, but with enough to be going on with. And it could have been a one-stop race. I'm not sure if anyone ended up pulling it off. I tried myself, but crashed in the process. But in the dry, certainly the fuel usage is higher, and you're not going to be able to get away with a one-stop. This should really pull something out. Maybe some tracks will enable it. Maybe we'll even see it here. Maybe we'll see someone attempt it. Robin Merlin could be a good contender if he can make it work. 8 seconds is the gap from him to Martin Kovac ahead. And that is Pavel Sterner coming. You see the gap there between him and Pierre Moreno. Sterner pulling off a blinder. Moreno, I think, who himself was at the Spa race a week ago, I don't think he's had too much time to get any major practice in. That's going to be to Pavel's, well, benefit this race. See the two cars of Moreno and Schmeiter actually in the background there at Ravazza 2. But Stenner himself absolutely on fire for the time being, and that is one of the McLarens. Mark McNaughton, no, that's Mark McNaughton. It is Fail Games getting lapped again by the, actually that might be for the first time. No, it should be again. The timing tower is telling me some odd things. Oh no, he has been lapped in his own class now by Martin Kovac, who actually that's Variante Alta. So he must have had some issues earlier on. Mark McNaughton, meanwhile, has been dropped potentially due to some traffic interfering by Jamie Booth. We shall have to see again as Senator Ricky in the pits, as is Tommy Teasdale. That explains why he has been moved down to P6 in class. Jamie Booth, meanwhile, P3 for the moment, but not net, obviously. So we're starting to see people come in. Martin Kovac then into the pit lane. Let's have a look. Robin Merlin close behind. This will be the pit cycle that will determine probably very little because of how late, much later Robin Merlin is coming into the pit box. And that is Stenner from the lead of the race, also in Schmeitat 2. Pierre Moreno also himself coming in. Let's see, is Flores. Let me have a quick look actually while we're here at the energy tire, the energy remaining for the Hypercar class. So you can see there, 9% for Bell, 6 for Hughes and 4 for Gesh. They will probably have to come in at this lap. You see one of the McLarens getting moved into his box in front. Robin Moe's going to have to be turned around to get out. Luckily, it does that. There he looks. Look at him go. But he's going to come right in front. Good release with the two Peugeots come in. If Smith and DeRickie have already pitted, you can see their strategy is going to be marginally different to the others. Gadek also 69% due to his issues earlier on. See the race off pit road. Stenner currently coming out now. He is beating everyone away. And Robin Merling on the pit out. Come out as Martin Kovac comes basically up to, I believe this is going to be Tosa. Yes, it is, as Martin Kovac actually on the back then of David Epitishvili for the GT3s. I don't believe it gives me the energy for GT3s, which is a shame because it gives the drivers in the cars the energy for the GT3s, because they do have a hybrid sort system. But as you can see there, Epitishvili and Booth both yet to stop. They may be running long, although they won't be able to get another lap out of it, or another stint, or remove another stint to be more accurate. They're running a little bit longer than their contemporaries, I guess. That is, I think, fail games off the track a little bit in Ravazza, between Ravazzas 1 and 2. Easy enough to do, easy place to go out. See in the Hypercar class then, Epitishvili yet to pit, Booth comes in, David will have to pit this lap, and everyone in Hypercar has pitted. You see there the gaps to the leader, 89 seconds between 1st and 10th in Hypercar. But that first place is Jarmeek Smith, who has pitted once and pitted early, and he will be on a different strategy cycle to everyone else. But I'm going to say this, it looks like it might have paid off. Assuming that all cars still have to pit once, Smith only has to pit once more. 2 pit stops in this race. Jarmeek might have played himself a blinder here, and if he has, well, I want to hear why or how. It might be that it's just my eyes deceiving me, but he has pitted. It's not as though they're on different cycles. Well, they are on different cycles. It's not as though they're on different pit stop amounts. I think Jarmeek pitting, taking the clean air, taking an earlier quick pit stop. And this is what I was saying earlier with the speculation as to exactly how the stops happened. Because if you plan to take an early stop and pit pit then again later on with a full tank, you have 2 choices. You can either start the race with a full tank and pit and have to only fill up half that tank when you come in, which I think is what Jarmeek has done, or you can take only the half a regular stint tank of fuel, pit early, but you have to then fill up the tank entirely to get to the end of the stint. And that is where the amount of fuel you put in the race at the start in any refueling race is so important, because you have to try and make sure, as DeRickie gets past Merling there, you have to try and make sure, or you have to remember at the very least, that the fuel you put in at the start of the race is the only fuel that doesn't cost you time in the race. So I think Jarmeek put in the fuel and managed a quick pit stop. Now, of course, you will be probably thinking yourselves, that means that when Jarmeek comes to his final stop, he will have to put in the maximum amount, where everyone else who will pit, say, 10 minutes after him, will only have to put in the amount of fuel they need to the end of the race. However, say this because I think this is an interesting thing, and this is something that I myself did at Spa. By doing that, he can make sure, he knows he just has to fill up the tank. Everyone who wants to put in less has to make sure they have a calculator or a calculation available to them in their head or otherwise, so they do not underfuel the car. If Jarmeek knows he can go 20 minutes on one tank of fuel, then he can go 20 minutes on one tank of fuel. If someone else is not sure if they can go 15 on so many laps or so many litres, then they will have to take any sort of risk, and they may end up overfueling the car slightly or running out of fuel if they underfuel. Of course, many of these people are running options and peripherals that will make life much easier for them, like Tiny Pedal or the one of the race setup shops personal calculator, I believe Pierre Moreno is using. I know that Robin Merling is using the Tiny Pedal application as his Martin Kovac, which will be helping them with their energy and otherwise, and that is Kovac being lapped by the Ferraris of Schmeitat and De Ricci. The Peugeot dominance in this grid is absolutely amazing to see. You don't quite expect it, but it is there. And there is your full order. You see that Gadek has been lapped after his crash and subsequent early pit stop for repairing of damage. That has taken him significantly down the order in his class, and he is now just fighting for those 10th place points. Now Robin Merling has now lost even more time to Kovac ahead, as the camera has decided just to show us trees. But here he is coming into view, hoving into view. It's Robin Merling. There he is, or Robin Merlin, as a recent commentator I heard in another series called him. He is the ancient wizard himself, Mr. Merlin. As he comes around Tosa, can he make some magic and get some sort of gain onto Kovac before the end of this race? He's going to have Gesh for company very shortly, and it might not happen in a place that he necessarily wants it to, but I think it'll be done just before the entry to Aqua Minerale. That is for the best for the Ferrari. And oh, as that's Gesh off, and Robin, seeing it, I think almost spun in sympathy. Gesh manages to get back on, but now he's going to have to overtake Robin all over again. And Robin's going to hope that he does it before or after Riratzes and not in the middle. Meanwhile, we can look at that because Gesh now being followed closely by Dale Hughes in the 93 Peugeot. Oh, as I, for some reason, it's taken me to Tweedy. Ah, okay, I get it now. I have only just worked out how you change cameras in the control panel, but you see there Robin Moe getting passed nicely by Dale Hughes. You can actually change by doing this, which is quite nice. Although it does seem you can do the one. Oh no, you can, okay, but you have to. The annoying thing is you can't just select a single camera to look at, because I, for example, want to look at this for a second, because I love this one. Especially when you onboard HUD. Take away timing now. The stuff that LMU has put into this is really interesting and great. They just need a little bit of tweaking and addition. But you can see then ahead, Tobias Gesh, the Cadillac blue car. I don't know if they actually have names between the teams. I think it's just blue car colour rather than anything in particular. Comes through Aqua Minerale once again. It's a relatively short track this, so we're going to get quite a few laps out of it. I'm not sure how many we've had at the moment. It's not telling me anywhere in particular. See his energy there, not too far through. We'll have to pit probably around 15 minutes to go. See Tobias Gesh now. There's Kovac ahead once again. He's going to get past him quite nicely before Tabarello. What about Hughes? Hughes is going to wait. And that's going to lose him some time to Gesh ahead. Although remember, Gesh only really is in striking distance of Hughes because of that off he had on the exit of Aqua Minerale. As through Villeneuve he goes. The gap now 2.0 seconds. Mick Smith, meanwhile, still in the lead of this race. But I'm just going to go down now because guess who's fighting again? Mark McNaughton and Jamie Booth once again at each other's rears and front ends. That sounds quite rude, but I was going to say at each other's throats, but cars don't have throats. And he looks around the outside, but he can't get the grip that a particular driver earlier today, without spelling in the spoilers, had there. And that's actually put him back a little bit as he's had to be wary. Oh, as he gets a little bit out of the way, onto the grass a little bit there. And that's Stenner lapping. Actually, that is Stenner, who is the other Porsche. That's not Pierre Moreno. Who is in the other Porsche? It's Adam Gadek, I guess. Yes, it was. That is Gadek being lapped by Stenner, whilst himself also trying to get past. You can see there, Pierre Moreno has been benefited somewhat by that, as he now 4 seconds only is the gap to Stenner ahead. Stenner was held up a little bit. Pierre Moreno is going to have to get past them also. See there the gap, 4 seconds. He's going to get up before Variante Alta. Very creatively named part of the circuit. It's Alta because it's at high altitude, I presume. To be fair, it might not. If any Italians are listening and that's completely wrong, then I apologise. But this track does have probably some of the nicest namings in motorsports. It's certainly the most consistently named track in motorsports, other than maybe Silverstone. I would say Spa, but Spa has more names for its corners than it has corners. So I don't know what to think of that. Pouhon and Double Gorge, Bruxelles and Beau Rivage. I mean, if anyone can actually tell me distinctly where Campus, Stabilo and Paul Freire are on a single unified map, I will be impressed. But Imola, beautiful track name, beautiful corner names. The anti-Hungary, which has no corner names for some reason. We need more corner names. It makes it more fun to talk about them rather than just saying turn 1, turn 2, turn X. As Pierre Moreno seeking a little bit lost there. A little bit of time lost on the Travic that he had to make his way through, which was obviously Mark Norton and Jamie Booth, who are still fighting was cars lap them. As that's Jarmeek Smith has taken his pit stop, and he will come out. Now 24 minutes to go. This is, I don't know what the fuel usages here are. I think they may be maybe lesser than, say, well, it would be less than Monza, and it would be less than Spa, and it would probably be less than Bahrain. There are some straights here, but like I said, track not actually that long, not really all that long. So, can Jarmeek make it to the end of this race on 23 minutes left to go on a full tank of, I presume, a full tank of energy? Let me have a look. Let's have a look at the Hypercar energy remaining statistics. Yeah, that is Jarmeek Smith, 78%. I think he knows something we don't. I think we are actually going to get Jarmeek making it. I suppose no, 78% was correct because that is the energy ratio. He does not need 100. I think we are going to see potentially a Jarmeek Smith masterclass. I kind of want one. I feel bad for saying it. Commentators should be impartial, but Jarmeek in that Peugeot has sadly missed one race, had some issues I think in another, and now fighting potentially for a win on a very different strategy. Just before this race, he did put a post in one of our channels saying, as we actually see another Peugeot get past Mark McNaughton, who is still trying to fight with Jamie Booth, but they keep being interrupted. Jarmeek did do a race, seemingly one of the open server races, one of the fixed, not fixed servers, but the fixed time, I don't know what you call them, the sort of, the LMU hosted servers, not hosted because that's what we're doing, the official servers. has an Imola race on it. I can't remember which one it is. Jarmeek was doing one of those. He did post about it and unfortunately ran out of fuel just before the line, losing, I believe, a potential race win. Actually, he didn't say whether it was a race win, but I would prefer the story if it was. The story is more fun if it was a race win. Right, so. A little bit of dust kicked up from the back of McNaughton's car there. Adrian, meanwhile, sadly in last place in class, having lost out somewhat earlier on. Unfortunately, I didn't see exactly what. Gesh getting through past Booth. Being closely followed still by Hughes, who's going to have to wait once again for Tamburello. This is not an unfamiliar sight from our side. Oh, but he might interfere into Villeneuve. He is going to. And Booth, maybe not too much trouble by that, but that's going to let McNaughton back on. This is, there's McNaughton. I was going to say, this is what I love about multi-class racing. But McNaughton onto the gravel, resetting any progress he had hoped to gain there. Oh, that is unfortunate as he also runs wide. The tyres not quite up, not quite clean enough, not quite whatever they were to make it around Tosa. Meanwhile, Pierre Moreno has dropped again a little bit from Pavel Sterner. Sterner just has the time in him. He has the laps. His best lap thus far, a 1:31.052 to Pierre Moreno's 1:31.6. In fact, actually, Pierre Moreno's best lap is slower than Schmeitat's and Ricker's and Gesch's as well, and by about 200 Hughes's. So, and Jarmeek's actually, but then Jarmeek, like I say, is on that different strategy. So let's treat him as a special case for the moment. Oh, as he gets a little bit perfect time to go and see him. He gets a little bit loose on the exit of outer. 19 minutes yet to go. Look at those gaps in classes. Right, let's see. The main battle still is McNaughton and Booth, even if it has fallen back to about a second. So, as we are, I'm curious about this. As we are in the middle, well, we aren't in the middle of the race, but as things are starting to peter out a bit, let's have a look. Actually, I'm not really sure. I was going to have a look at some of this stuff on the side here, but I can't really work half of it out. McNaughton's still fighting. I feel like I've completely lost my train of thought. Let's have a quick look. I'm going to have a quick look at least at the championship standing, so we can have a look at where people are in relation. Give me the towel back. Don't know why it went off. Why have I got class leaders now? That is okay. I don't think I asked for that. Okay, it's gone. Okay. Anyway. I'm going to keep a look at this gap. McNaughton trying to take on I keep forgetting I have to take off the timing tab if I want to see this. You can see that gap still coming down again, but will it be interrupted by yet more Hypercar? I'll have a quick look then at the standing. Stenner leads with a significant gap, 18 points between himself and Pierre Moreno. Moreno will get a better finish now, but his last finish really helped Stenner through extend that lead. But Pierre is going to extend his own distance to Jose Flores, who currently sits in P5, about 3 places back. Only 2 points between them at the moment, but it will be a little bit quicker. Tobias Gesh, meanwhile, currently 32 points in P4, is going to potentially lose some position to maybe Dale Hughes, although I'm not quite sure with the number of points on offer at this rate. Meanwhile, let me have a look in LMGT3. Kovac currently leading with 60 points. Robin Moe not too far behind with 52. But again, Kovac will extend that lead if things remain as they are from the German driver Robin Moe. Mark McNaughton, meanwhile, hitting 32, and Tommy Teasdale ahead of him. Teasdale will probably jump him in the standings to take P3. Then Jamie Booth will likely maintain position. Oliver Newman has apparently missed this race, sadly, simply due to missing the start time, according to his message in LMU chat. Thomas Jack, too, currently nursing himself from a small illness. And Thomas Jack will likely get overtaken by Failgains in the standings. Actually, Failgains might even get past Oliver Newman and be up to P6. A good journey from a driver who's been with us since the ACC days. As to be fair, a few people here have, but he's one who's been particularly with us for some time, as this is it. This is it. Mark McNaughton, the inside of Tavarella, but he goes off. He goes too wide. He goes off the track. And I just said oof because that was so surprising to me. That is the unfortunate outcome of that battle as Stenner gets past him again. I believe that is one of the Peugeots near the back. Adam Gaddick then in the pit lane now, the first of the hypercars, I think, on the primary strategy, let's call it. The only hypercar who's not, no, sorry, he's not on the primary strategy. He had to pit due to his crash. He is in the box now. I'm not sure. That was Mike Bell being lapped by Pavel Sterner. Jarmeek Smith, everyone else other than Jarmeek Smith and Gaddick are on what I will call the primary strategy. That is pitting roughly every 20 minutes or 25 minutes. But I'm not sure with this track what the usage is. I kind of wish I had some more data. But Jarmeek Smith looking like he could have a race in the bag if he can finish on his current tank of fuel. Mark McNaughton then is going to have to once again pull his way up. He has lost 4 seconds to Booth ahead. That is him having to get back onto the track. He dove it up the inside. I couldn't see from the onboard if there was any contact, but I think Jamie Booth got away with it relatively fine. If that does go to stewarding, it might be a simple case of McNaughton lost it and Booth survived. And that has set him back from what looked like a very decent chance of what is now P3 in class, following the misfortunes of other drivers earlier on. David Epichvili is also DNF'd, I have just noticed, in the GT3 class. I think that's his second DNF of the season, although I'm not certain. Box for Senna Zaricki, pit in for Dale Hughes. The camera struggles to find them. And therefore we are going to see, I'm going to watch, I don't know who to watch. The gaps are relatively spread out, so this is now a strategy game being played, I think, between Jarmeek Smith and Pavel Stenner. And if Jarmeek makes, he is going to do significantly well for himself in the stand. I'm not sure if he has, after missing an earlier race, the ability to fight for much more for P1. But he has 18 points on the boards, and a 30-point gain would do him wonders, which is the points for P1. Pit in for Pavel Sterner, pit in for Pierre Moreno, who we'll see here. There he is. Good close-up, that one. Thomas Schmeitat then also, let's have a look, Jose Flores coming around just after out of there. I can't remember if this corner has a name. If it has a name, I apologize again to the Italians. I think it might. I can't remember. I'm usually quite good at Imola corner names. No, it doesn't have a name. It should do. We should give it a name. I don't know who we'd name it for, though. As we see, Flores in, Gesh, and then also Gesh just getting ahead of, I think that's Mark McNaughton. Yes, it is. Jarmeek coming around now. Stenner is out and ahead. So Jarmeek has not. The first time he pitted, he came out within a 10-second lead, or at least he had a 10-second lead at one point during that stint. Between himself and Pavel Sterner, he was in P1. But having had to take more fuel, perhaps with some traffic in the second stint that he managed to escape in the first, he has not maintained that gap, and in fact is 10 seconds now behind the race leader, but only 2 seconds behind Pierre Moreno. And remember, no tyre changes needed in this race. He is on the same tyre wear as Pierre Moreno, but another factor is his tyres are a little bit warmer as he has been running more constantly now. So now is the time he needs to attack Pierre if he wants to make a play for P2. Even if I think P1 may not be in his cards right now. Jarmeek, an incredibly quick driver in his own right, especially having, I think, somewhat mastered that Peugeot as of late, as of his career in Le Mans Ultimate. Wild, Tommy Teasdale actually in 5th place now. Possibly some bad pit stopping. Trying to have a look. I think Norton is now ahead of him. I'm not quite sure where or how that has happened. Maybe some pit stop shenanigans have come up. It would be nice to see. I can't see, I don't think. If I put tyres, it just shows me the colours. It doesn't show me anything about how many tyres they've done. Jamie Booth yet to pit. It would be nice to know if anyone's actually changed tyres, but I don't think there's a way for me to see that. Unfortunately, they should, as I believe all sort of race engineering should. I always believe that in sim racing, when you're in the car, you should have on the HUD whatever an engineer could tell you if you don't have one. If an engineer can tell you the tyre temperature, then you should have it. If an engineer can tell you, you know, gaps or whatever else they can tell you, then you should have access to it because you don't have an engineer for the most part, unless you know, some people fair enough can, but you don't generally have an engineer when you're driving solo. However, I do believe at the same time, if you're in a commentary booth, you should also have all the information that someone could be able to tell me from the pit lane. And I wish I had someone on the pit wall right now telling me who had changed tyres and who hadn't. The answer is probably no one. But in the case it's not, I would love it. And I love this camera. I love the shake effect on that camera. It's really well done. As you see there, Tobias Gesh getting past Teasdale. That's going to not hamper the Porsche too much, but he may come down and hamper the McLaren. No, he's not. The McLaren, actually, I think the McLaren might have backed off a little bit. They're attacking Minerale, so I think it might have, as that is Gesh once again into the gravel. And that is going to hamper the McLaren as Gesh is going to get ahead of him. He's going to have to let him go. And Teasdale now right behind. Now Tommy is going to need to take Mark for his championship P4 for him hopefully become a P3. These two are not only fighting on this racetrack, they are P3 and P4 well, they're not only P3 and P4 on the racetrack, which I think they are once. No, Booth has pitted and come out in P3. Okay. So we have our low battling that Mark and Tommy have been doing has lost them 14 seconds to Jamie Booth ahead. But these two are not, like I say, just fighting for P4 and P5 in this racetrack. They're fighting for P3 in the championship overall. And it's 2 points between them. And I'll tell you what, the gap between these two places, I believe, is 2 points. Let me check the scoring, actually. No, the scoring... Oh, yes, sorry, yes, the scoring difference is 2 points. So, they will equalise. If Tommy can beat Mark on this track now, he will equalise points to him. But Mark will still hold P3 because Mark has finished round 2 in P4, and Tommy Teasdale's best finish is a P5. Actually, wait 1 second. Oh, this is going to be odd. Because if Teasdale takes Mark here, his best finish will also be a P4, because that's what they're fighting for now. But on countback, it should use their round 5 finish, which is P5 for Mark McNaughton, P7 for Tommy Teasdale. Sorry, that's the pre-race finish. And so Mark should stay ahead on the countback if you include the pre-race event. Otherwise, they will both have, or Tommy will take it because he will have a P4, P5 finish, and Mark will have P4, P6, P5 anyway. Okay, so yes, it should be on countback Mark McNaughton. I'm having to do mathematics in my head. Right, Fail Games says F in the chat. Fail, what happened to you? Okay, turns out we're getting this. Oh, message retracted. Okay, we're not getting it. Fail, I need to know. I'm trying to read it. Right, whilst we try to read it, stay on board with Teasdale. Gap between Jarmeek Smith. I'll put the gaps back up, my apologies. Gap between Jarmeek Smith and Pierre Moreno, still around 2 seconds. Jarmeek trying to gain, but with 5 minutes, 40 seconds remaining, I don't think there is time necessarily for Jarmeek to do, well, let me say it this way. If he wants to do something, he needs to shake a leg, pull his finger out and get going. But Pierre Moreno, still with 9 seconds to Stenner, I think he's looking at a P2 finish. I think we're looking at a Jarmeek P3. And I think we're looking at another Stenner win and another Kovac win in GT3 class. Gap still. Oh, that's a really good exit from Aquaminarale. Goes wide, does Mark McNaughton. Fail has yet to tell us what ended his race. I'm very sad about that. I'm presuming it was some sort of failure of some kind. There's been a suggestion of broken suspension, but not from the man himself. Tommy has dropped back a little bit, however, after Variante Alta through Ravazza 1-2. That Aquaminarale he had was absolutely fantastic, but did not manage to translate into a position on the racetrack. 4 minutes 17 to go. This is going to be, I think, a fight to the line. But Tommy dropping off a little bit down the straight. McLaren maybe versus Porsche power, although this Porsche is not particularly down on it as previous powers have been. Fail Games broke suspension since 30 minutes in, finally got the better of him, and once he's in the grass, then it's game over. So that is Fail Games out of this race, unfortunately for him. As I said, he would overtake Thomas Jack. He may still do so if he is classified, but I'm not quite sure if he will be. It will be up to the sim grid gods to decide. But still in this race are Tommy Teasdale and Mark McNaughton. But there's the man again, Pavel Stenner, the danger Toyota behind. And all, actually to be fair, I was going to say all LMGT3s must clear, but he is an impressive driver to watch. The strength of a quick hypercar driver for a GT3 is that they are always much better, or almost always much better at passing you than some of the GT3s in the middle of the pack. They are the ones you fear the most. Ones the LMHs in the middle of the pack. As a GT3, the LMHs in the middle and the rear of the pack are the ones you fear the most because they are the ones that are more likely to hold you up in time. Pavel Stenner, I think, has shown fantastic ability to overtake GT3s in class. Martin Kovac, meanwhile, I think has shown a fantastic ability to allow LMHs to pass, which has been one of his main points of mastery, let's say, this season long. As you see, I believe that's Ricky and Ricky and Flores behind, waiting for him to get through the Variante Alta so they can get ahead. No, that's not Flores. Is that Flores? No, that must be a lapping Pierre Moreno, perhaps. No, it's not. It's a being lapped somebody else. I need to look at the Hypercar timing tower to have a look. It'll be Gadek, yes. It'll be Gadek, who has just been lapped by Senna de Ricci. Jose Flores, meanwhile, comes into the pit lane. Was he on a different strategy? Did he hold out longer than his compadres? I do not know. Or is he planning to DNF this race? Mike Bell, meanwhile, who has joined quite late, I believe, after a day of karting, running the wingless Peugeot in P9. Not perhaps the day he would have liked. Best lap, a 1:32.6. And Jose Flores has DNF'd at the very end of this race. And that will be their race over. Passably. They ran out of fuel, gosh darn it. I don't know why I said it like that, but there we are. Let's see, who has we not really looked at too much? Adrian Norton, early incidents plaguing this red McLaren, the number 70 car. You can see a little bit of denting on the side pod there, side panel, whatever you call it there. Yeah, there it is, a little scraping, I think, unless it's just a really weirdly drawn part of the livery. You can see there, actually, Jamie Booth coming around to lap him, but with 30 seconds to go, I don't think he'll have the time. However, the Porsche will probably get him before the end of this lap. Where is Stenner now? Stenner is... I want to have a look. Is that down at Ravazza? No, that's Piratella, I believe. Can't quite tell. His cameras are confusing me. Yes, it was. Okay, this Aqua Minerale now. This will therefore be the last lap as it's 2-1 and race finish almost there. 0 minutes remaining in a position that probably needs to be worked out because that's under the overlay. This is going to be it. The gap behind Pavel Sterner at 11 seconds. You can see there. I realised Husky said hello in there. Or that Husky the second to be specific. Hello Husky. We are about to finish here as Pavel Sterner, fantastic drive, getting let by Robin Merling, who wants to take the flag as soon as possible. Pavel Sterner takes the win in class and is once again your winner in RP Series Le Mans Hypercar. Martin Kovac then. Actually, wait, is he? He should be. Or is it one more lap? I don't know. I'm pretty sure, yes, he has. He's slowing down. Okay, Martin Kovac then. Where is he now? I believe that was Aqua Minerale there. Jarmeek Smith has to pit. He takes the pits. Okay, never mind, he doesn't have to pit. He has finished the race and taken the pits. Ignore me. Martin Kovac rounding a Variante outer. Again, like I say, the overlay control panel could be a little bit better at just giving me information like, is the race flagged or not? This will be Kovac around Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2. The car behind him, Robin Mulling, dropped back to take the flag a lap early. Martin Kovac will be the lead lap car. The most laps run in the entirety of his class. And will take the checkered flag for, well, the race win in class. Tobias Gesch then is the final car to round the track. Or has he already finished? He has already finished. There we go. Race completed. Laps all done. I am slightly exhausted now. Take the tower away. Take the session info. And let's have a look at the session result. So, after however many laps it was, 38 laps, it felt like an awful lot more than that to me. Pavel Stenner has taken victory once again in the Toyota. This is feeling like several years ago at this point. Pierre Moreno 11 seconds back, unable to take the fight to him. And he will finish. I'm going to switch to a camera view that helps you to see the numbers a little bit better. He takes second place, and Pavel has extended his lead in class. But Pierre Moreno will have extended his P2. Jarmeek Smith taking P3, 15 seconds back after a strategy that looked hopeful for him. But the extra time taken in that second stop clearly lost him 20-odd seconds that he had over Stenner beforehand. Which I guess makes sense when you think about it. He's got to take more fuel and Stenner gets to take less by about the same amount as each other. Thomas Schmeitat, P4, followed by Senna de Ricci, the two Ferraris, 4 and 5. Tobias Gesh, the Cadillac, in P6. Then it's two Peugeots, Dale Hughes and Mike Bell, taking P7 and P8. Adam Gadek, P6. Jose Flores in P10. Then Martin Kovac takes the... Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Oh, yes, he does. Never mind, I was ignoring that. Martin Kovac takes the win in class P11 as I have gone back to the main menu for some reason because it's kicked me out of the session. There we go. Basic. Let's get rid of the game capture. Who needs to look at anything? Right. Robin Merling in P12, then unable once again to take the fight to Kovac. Maybe a little bit of traffic getting in the way, but Jamie Booth, P13. P14 or P4 in class, really. Mark McNaughton, followed by Tommy Teasdale. That, again, is going to mean that McNaughton extends his lead by another 2 points over Tommy, who themselves are sitting P3 and P4 in the championship standings at the moment, unless something I have not predicted, if Jamie Booth or Ron Merling has changed that. Tommy Teasdale then in class P5, followed by Adrian McNaughton, P6. Fail Games and David Epatishvili both have DNF'd, as has Tom Tweedy. And that rounds out your session. Oh, God. And let's have a look. Tommy Teasdale apparently struggling to save fuel according to his message in the chat. And David Epatishvili's wheel, I believe that says seppukud, which I believe is spelt incorrectly, but his wheel decided to commit, let's say, you know, get the idea, and unfortunately he was not able to finish that race. Unfortunate technical issue which occasionally occur in these situations in simulation. But there is your final race standings once again. Pavel Sterner takes a much deserved victory, as I was saying earlier. Absolutely fantastic driving when you see him. I mean, at Spa, he was doing some coasting stuff, which even Pierre Moreno was quite impressed at. And then your class. Right. I would possibly do some interviews here, but my throat is going. I did step in at late notice. I'm sure you've been able to hear it slowly die over the course of this race. So I will unfortunately simply say thank you to all drivers who have competed. Thank you to anyone who has watched. And congratulations again to our class race winners, our overall race winner, Pavel Sterner, and GT3 class winner, Martin Kovac. And they will extend their leads until next time out, where we can go over to the calendar, where we have, we did our pre-season race at Spa that no one scored any points at, unfortunately for Pierre Moreno, who was the winner of that race and has yet to win a race in the season proper. Round 1 then was 1 week later at Bahrain, followed by Monza 2 weeks ago on the 4th of May in a very wet situation. Imola, we've just done round 3 today, and then in 2 weeks' time on the 1st of June, we are running at Brazil, Interlagos, for yet another race which may have some weather and some rules to play with now as we come to the last 2 rounds of the points season. And then, to avoid clashing with the Canadian Grand Prix, my apologies, you heard that. For some reason, the stream was live on another monitor, and for some reason decided to start actually playing when I didn't ask it to. Anyway, so to avoid clashing with the Canadian Grand Prix, which is 1 week after what is going to be the 8th of June, so I guess that's the 15th of June, we are running a week interval once again between round 4 and round 5, so just be prepared once you get to Interlagos if you are a competitor and you're still listening to the stream at this point, which is probably not likely. There will be a 1 week gap between rounds 4 and 5 at Interlagos and Fuji, and keep an eye on the RP Series info channel for the announcements of those races, which may have some slightly different rule and timing variations. But you will have to wait and see. So yes, Interlagos 2 weeks from today, and it will be once again streamed here on this channel, but once again by my good friend Mr. Husky, who has taken us thus far into the season, missing today only due to other commitments to racing, actually, I believe. So, he's probably got to go and enjoy himself for a little bit today. But, until then, I guess we have what's left to thank our Patreon community members, our patreon.com/racingpals if you want to support us. It helps us to pay for these servers, to pay for these runnings, and any other undertakings we do take. Our members include myself on the top of the list, Alexander Georgiev, Deep Cuts, Jacob, Alicia, Miguel Cook, Robin Merling, Suicide Cookie, M1LDT, Thomas Eriksson, and Pierre Moreno and David Espichvali at our partner level. But until next time, until I speak to you next, which who knows when that will be, as I have no immediate plans for future commentary, you will speak to Husky in 2 weeks' time. But until then, and whenever I speak to you next, I have been your commentator, James Andrews. Thank you all for watching. Congratulations again to our winners, and good night.